got a new Turok game announced, which means I have to go back and play this bad boy once again. Hey kids, welcome back to the channel. I'm Uncle Frank, the bearded man with the bearded plan. I hope you're having a great day. Today, I wanted to take a step down memory lane and talk about one of my favorite discontinued card games. One that I've talked about before on my other channel, Lore Seeker. Go check that video out. Specifically, I'd like to spend some time talking about the Megaman NT Warrior trading card game by Decipher. Since I've already talked about this in a more constructed video, I'm just going to go over the basics. This is a card game based on an anime, based on a game series, based on another game series. The Megaman NT Warrior anime being based off of the Mega Man Battle Network video games, which were a sort of sequel spin-off of the Mega Man franchise. It was a different continuity with a different Mega Man facing down a different kind of villain. Digital villains, viruses, and all kinds of stuff. Wow, it's a blast of the past now that I think about it. That was forever ago. Really, but anywho, Mega Man has always been kind of popular in nerd culture. The games have always been challenging but very fun to blitz through. And when the Battle Network games came over to the States, they were very different from previous Mega Man titles. They weren't side-scrolling action shoot-'em-up games. They were RPGs, after a sense, with actual stories, which took a lot of people by surprise. And the anime that was based off it was pretty well received. I watched it. I thought it was okay. But I have to say, of all the Mega Man media, and of pretty much any dead TCG, the Mega Man Battle Network, the Mega Man NT Warrior TCG made by Decipher, is probably one of my favorites in either category. Now, for those of you who don't know, Decipher is a company that is sort of infamous in the card game world for putting out a lot, and I do mean a lot, of card games over the years. They've made a bunch of Star Wars games, a Star Trek game. I'm pretty sure they're the ones who did the .hack game, which I am very fond of, but that's just because it's .hack. And yeah, they made NT Warrior. The first NT Warrior set, which was Power Up, released back in 2004, and it was followed by the Grand Prix set and the Grave set, and that was it. There were decks that went along with each set release, but that's it. 3 sets. The game was over and done by the end of 2005, which means it didn't even last a full 2 years, which is quite unfortunate because, in my opinion, this is a very, very fun game. The rules are simple to pick up and learn. The gameplay is nice and intuitive. And while I don't feel like it has the greatest diversity of playable net navies to lead your deck, your commander for Magic players, your hero for Flesh and Blood players, while it doesn't have a huge amount of diversity, I do like that pretty much all of them do have support in the sets that they are released in, which is very nice. And I don't know, I feel like of all the dead TCGs that I've played, this is the one that I wish the most had more support. I really do. If there were like 4 or 5 more sets for Mega Man NT Warrior, I think it could really be something just absolutely amazing. And like I said before, I'm not going to go super detailed into the rules, but you have a net navi that leads your deck. You can only play cards if you have the cost for them, or if they follow under your net navi's emblem. And certain net navis get certain bonuses for certain cards. You fight your opponent, and unlike a lot of other card games where you have a life total, Your deck is your life total. When you take damage, you mill cards from the top of your deck, and when you have 0 cards left in your deck, you lose. That's it. Simple rules. I really like that. I like the idea of using the deck, your data, as your life total, because it really does help the card game tie into the digital aesthetics of the setting. Megaman NT Warrior being a purely digital fighting experience. So the idea that your deck is your NetNavi's data, and that losing all your data means you lose the game, I really like that. That's immensely flavorful, and it really helps the game shine, in my opinion. But I also really like a lot of the combat mechanics, like the fact that you don't want to overcharge your power meter, your energy meter, because that's just cards wasted. I like all the intricate ways that you can kind of, not necessarily plan ahead, but there's some sneaky plays you can do in this game that I really like. And I don't want to comment on the skill ceiling. I don't think the skill ceiling for the game is all that high, actually. Because if I feel like I'm making crazy plays in a game, I feel like the skill ceiling, it's got to be low, you know? I'm not that great at the games I do play. So if I feel like I'm really grasping the game well and getting a really good idea of the rules, I feel like the skill ceiling has to be low, but it's still enjoyable despite that. And part of that has to do with, again, there were only 3 sets plus some decks, but I don't know. I felt, every time I've played this game, I feel like the mechanical complexity is just right, with my only regret, my only gripe, really, being that I wish there were just some more cards to play with. Now, just because this is a very old card game, don't go thinking it's very rare or even all that expensive. The decks are still readily available online. I picked this one up for $8. I picked this one up, the Pharaohman deck from the same set. I think I paid $11 for this one, and I've got a stack of them over there. As for the boxes, it's been a while since I last bought a box, but I do love these boxes. I think they're great. I've been picking them up for between $25 to $40. Depends on the seller, really. These are readily available on eBay, Amazon, and if you just want to crack open a really good card game and build a deck out of just the box you open, this is one of the best card games to do that, because, like I said before, a lot of the NetNavis have their own support in the set they come out of. I think only once ever have I opened a box and just not been able to play with what I found inside of it. And that's just because most of the support cards were for NetNavi that was, I think, one of the decks. And I don't know, I just really like this card game, you know? It's strange to me that some card games just never really got a chance. And I feel like this was one of them. And it's a shame, because Mega Man is such a large franchise. It has so many characters, so many storylines it could tell. I feel like the NT Warrior card game, if it wasn't branded NT Warrior and it was just branded Mega Man, they could have branched out to cover the Legends games, the classic Mega Man games, all the Robot Masters from that as your deck leaders, and they could have had dozens of sets focusing on different parts of the Mega Man franchise. But of course, that's just a pipe dream, and we're left with only 3 sets, which I do like them a lot. Don't get me wrong, but I just wish there were more. And I feel like that's the, if there was a phrase I could use to describe NT Warrior, I wish there were more. Look at Dr. Wily. He looks so fucking goofy. To wrap things up, this was a card game that released in 2004 and died by the end of 2005, which is a very small release window. Shorter than a lot of other card games in the market, but despite that short release window, I think this is legitimately one of the best card games Decipher has ever made. It was also one of their last, with only a handful, I think 2 or 3 more, being made before the company stopped making card games altogether in 2008, 2009, I think. It's been a long time since Decipher has done a TCG, but if they were to come back as a company and go back and do a card game again, this is the one that I would like them to choose. With that said, if you would like a video going more in depth with the history of this card game, go check out, I'll link it below, my Lore Seeker channel, where I have a whole video dedicated to breaking down the rules, the history, etc. And if you would like me to talk about another Decipher card game, I do have a few of them over there, especially the Dot Hack card game, which I am a huge fan of, even though I think that one's not nearly as fun to actually play. I just really like the Dot Hack franchise. With that all said, if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, subscribing to the channel, sharing this video with a friend, leaving a comment down below, all that good jazz to help the algorithm see my channel and help it grow. And, of course, remember, your uncle needs to get healthy. So, for every like this video gets, I'll be doing a push-up or push-up equivalent in the next video, and I look forward to seeing you kids then. Forgot to mention, I'm also on Patreon, and I have a Discord server. Feel free to join either of those to support the channel. My last video got 33 likes. Whew. That's 33.